In 1887, in what was then the Montana Territory, Mary Stewart was photographed at Fort McGinnis, a military post erected 7 years earlier to safeguard settlers and stagecoach routes. At the time, she was engaged in a secret betrothal to Teddy Blue, a matter she confided in letters in which she praised her father, Granville, for his generosity and attentiveness in dressing his children in top-quality clothing. In 1901, in the American interior marked by border conflicts, an anonymous young woman wields a half-stock rifle, a weapon known for its agile handling and more accurate shot. The object symbolizes women's participation in domestic defense during a period when daily security depended on the family's readiness against threats from raiders and land disputes. In 1878, Texas Ranger James B. Gillette appears mounted on the horse duty, at a time when the Texas frontier was the scene of conflicts among settlers, cattle rustlers, and indigenous nations. Established in 1823 and formalized after the war with Mexico, the Rangers covered vast distances to maintain order. Gillette distinguished himself by capturing armed gangs, an action that reinforced the Corps' reputation in the Old West. In the 1870s in Lee County, a region marked by the turbulence of the post-Civil War era, James S. Scarborough rose to prominence as sheriff. Armed with his 6-shot revolver, he patrolled dusty roads to protect farms and stagecoach lines against gangs that looted local businesses. The effectiveness of these patrols earned him the electorate's trust for 2 successive terms. In 1878, photographer M.C. Ragsdale captured 2 moments on wet collodion plates of the Texas Rangers Company, commanded by Captain Dan Roberts, camped beside the isolated Fort McCavitt in Menard County. These images show the routine of the patrolmen who, after the Civil War, protected settlers' routes against attacks on the western frontier. The second scene appears later in the video. In the photographs taken by M.C. Ragsdale in 1878, when the Texas Rangers patrolled the newly pacified borders after Reconstruction, the posture of one guard draws attention. He places his knife in front of the holster, a method that shortened the movement between hand and blade during sudden confrontations on the vast prairies of the American Southwest. In the 1870s, Texas experienced post-Civil War consolidation and the expansion of railroads. Ranger Gus Gildea appears dressed for frontier duty, a wide-brimmed hat against the sun, a wool coat for cold crossings, and V-top boots, practical for riding. At his waist stands the Bowie knife, feared in skirmishes with outlaws and territorial disputes. An 1887 image shows Texas Ranger Ira Otten, famous for his decisive actions in armed combats in the American Southwest. He appears wearing a wide-brimmed hat, a revolver holster at his waist, and a knife positioned in front, a common practice among patrolmen after the Civil War, when border surveillance against cattle thieves demanded immediate reaction. Andrew Jackson Sowell, a veteran of the Texas Rangers from 1870 to 1871, published in 1884 his memoirs of the period when the border was healing from the Civil War. Among the items described are V-top boots with stars and decorative stitching, a common piece of attire for Southwest riders and the inspiration for the pair worn by Curly Bill Brocious in Tombstone, 1993, a symbol of the Old West. On February 16, 1887, in front of a grocery store in Cotulla, South Texas, 12 Texas Rangers line up. The scene falls in the years of law consolidation after the Civil War and the expansion of railroads, when the Corps fought smugglers and cattle thieves on the border. 4 of them display V-top boots, a popular Western fashion that distinguished the official uniform. Around the end of the 19th century in Rialtos, South Texas, men of Company D of the Texas Rangers pose in formation for the camera. The unit, celebrated for patrolling the border with Mexico and curbing cattle theft, displays martial discipline. In the front row, 2 Rangers place their knives in front of their holsters, a gesture that reinforces their reputation for readiness in border patrol. Myra Maybelle Belle Shirley Starr appears as a young woman in a rural post-Civil War Missouri setting. The daughter of prosperous farmers, she socialized with William Clark Quantrill and the James and Younger brothers, who turned to banditry after the conflict. On the unstable frontier, Belle learned to ride, handle weapons, and use her reputation to move among gangs, becoming a legend of the Old West. In 1884, at the height of the traveling fairs that romanticized the Old West after the end of the American frontier, Annie Oakley joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. Her precise aim and shooting exhibitions made her a main attraction, elevating her to an international symbol of female skill at the time, and helping spread the frontier myth around the world. In Cripple Creek, Colorado, during the height of the gold rush, sex workers and dancers wore aprons over already short dresses to conceal their ankles, which were then considered provocative. The norm, imposed by Victorian customs at the end of the 19th century, aimed to avoid embarrassment in saloons and maintain an appearance of decency amid the mining frenzy. The image depicts early 20th century California. After the Red Light Abatement Act of 1913 and Prohibition in 1920, attempts at moralization failed. Clandestine networks expanded, supplying brothels and illegal bars that became economic pillars of the urban underworld, sustaining corruption and violence in port cities amid the oil boom and the nascent film industry. In 1965, Raquel Welch began her career in cinema, emerging amid the cultural effervescence of the 1960s, marked by the expansion of female roles in Hollywood. In 1968, in The Western Bandolero, she broadened her artistic reach, reflecting the studio's effort to revitalize the genre and consolidating her place in the history of world entertainment. Between 1879 and 1883, stagecoaches that crossed the Russian River Valley, a vital route between Sonoma and Mendocino, endured successive attacks by Charles E. Bowles, Black Bart. Disguised, he would subdue drivers without firing a shot, collecting mail sacks and money. The robberies highlighted the weaknesses of overland transport at a time of rapid economic expansion in Northern California. During the height of the California Gold Rush, 1848-1855, the influx was varied and intense. Among the newcomers were women of multiple backgrounds and professions who defied restrictive stereotypes. Singers, dancers, and actresses supplied makeshift stages in mining towns, offering entertainment to a predominantly male society and turning their talent into prosperity. At Vera McGinnis's debut at Madison Square Garden in 1924, the peak of urban rodeos that brought the Old West to big cities, the horsewoman broke new ground. She appeared riding a graceful black horse, her long skirt swirling down to her feet. The audience, accustomed to male stars, saw the advance of women in equestrian shows, reinforcing Western iconography in New York's popular culture. This image harkens back to a period between 1851 and 1853, when the United States experienced intense urban and cultural expansion, driven by the gold rush. In this scene, the Irish woman Lola Montez travels stages from New York to San Francisco. Her bold performance, shaped by European theater, captivates audiences and propels her as a central figure in the emerging American drama. In the 1880s, when the telegraph sped up the news and large fairs drew crowds, John M. Burke, nicknamed the Prince of Press Agents, always appeared wearing his Stetson hat. By mastering interviews, serial stories, and press telegrams, he catapulted William Buffalo Bill Cody onto European stages, elevating him to the status of a universal myth of the Old West. On the vast ZT Ranch in Pitchfork Park County, Wyoming, one sees the cowboy carrying out routines inherited from the cattle boom of the late 19th century, herding cattle across open pastures, branding calves, and monitoring the herd's health. The scene reflects the continuity of techniques and values that shaped the economy and culture of the American West's plains. In 2025, Prescott, Arizona, celebrates the 138th Prescott Frontier Days, from June 28th to July 4th. Founded in 1888 when the Arizona Territory was gripped by gold fever, the rodeo preserves roping and riding practices that provided work for cowboys and mail carriers. In the 20th century, it became a showcase of cowboy skills, and today brings together classic competitions and audiences from across the Southwest. In 1883, at the height of railroad expansion through the West, settlers christened the future town of Cody in the Wyoming Territory in honor of William F. Buffalo Bill Cody. The buffalo hunter, already famous for his traveling shows, attracted investors and travelers, spurring the region's settlement and symbolizing the myth of the American frontier. Diane Lane portrays Lorena Wood, a courtesan residing in the Dry Bean Saloon, a typical Texas institution on the 1870 frontier, when cattle trails drew male crowds and women had few opportunities. Lane earned an Emmy nomination for the role. Amid violence, gold fever, and flimsy laws, Lorena dreams of leaving, embodying the female quest for autonomy in the Old West. An early 20th century photograph shows miners in front of the tunnel of a hard rock mine, an environment marked by poor ventilation and carbide lamp lighting. During the industrial expansion phase, the risk of gas pocket explosions and cave-ins was constant, causing entrapment or severe injuries to workers who operated without safety regulations. In 1872, the U.S. Congress created Yellowstone National Park, a landmark of the young environmental preservation movement. In the same decade, the railroad network advanced toward the Pacific, shortening travel times and connecting hot springs and volcanic landscapes. The convergence of land protection and efficient transport drew an increasing public seeking leisure and healing, inaugurating modern tourism in the West. Early 20th century, Grand Encampment in southern Wyoming illustrates the vigor of the expanding western frontier. The 1897 gold rush and copper extraction attracted investors, workers, and railroads, raising hotels, smelters, and aerial tramway lines over the Sierra Madre Range. The boom lasted until 1910, when falling prices ended the extraction fever.